Hello everyone, this is Marshall Gittler, Head of Investment Research here at FXPRIMUS, bringing my European opening market comment for Friday, October 14th. Well, commodities and the commodity currencies rose while the safe haven yen fell after China's CPI, Consumer Price Index, and PPI, the Producer Price Index, rose more than expected. The PPI actually rose on a year-on-year basis. This is the first time since January 2012 that there's been inflation at the producer price level. So the figures were much better than expected and gave hopes that China's economy is improving. This is in contrast to Thursday's plunge in both Chinese exports and imports. Now the dollar weakened as the probability of a rate hike in December receded slightly. We have to watch Fed Chair Janet Yellen's speech tonight for further guidance. Later, I'll have a word about that. Oil prices jumped following the U.S. Department of Energy inventory data. Now, although national inventories rose much more than expected, which should have been bearish for oil prices, inventories at Cushing, Oklahoma, the main delivery point for the U.S. futures market, fell to the lowest level since December. That encouraged the oil market and sent oil prices and the Canadian dollar higher. As for today, it's another relatively quiet day in Europe with no major economic indicators or central bank speeches expected during the European day. The fun starts with U.S. retail sales for September. The market expects a fairly robust figure, at least at the headline level, after 2 months of pretty lackluster sales. Automakers increased their discounting during the month, while gasoline prices rose. This rise in sales wasn't so great, excluding those two categories, but it's still forecast to be better than in the previous 2 months. The figure should be positive for the dollar. After that comes the U.S. Producer Price Index. An acceleration in upstream inflation should also be beneficial for the dollar, insofar as it makes it more likely that the Fed can tighten. Nonetheless, as you can see from this graph, the transmission between the PPI and the Core Personal Consumption Expenditure Deflator, the PCE deflator, which is the Fed's favorite inflation gauge, is rather tenuous. The figure might therefore not have so much impact on the dollar. An improvement in U.S. consumer sentiment, the U of Michigan Consumer Sentiment Index, as forecast, combined with the previously mentioned rise in consumer spending, would also be a boost for the dollar. Finally, the big event of the day, as I mentioned earlier, Fed Chair Yellen will be the keynote speaker at the Boston Fed's annual economics conference. She'll talk on macroeconomic research after the crisis. Now, it's not clear whether she'll discuss the outlook for policy and whether they might hike rates in December. Nonetheless, her comments are always closely watched. I wouldn't expect her to say anything different than what was revealed in the recent minutes from the September FOMC meeting. Now, since those minutes helped to boost the dollar, her comments may do so as well. There won't be a North American opening market comment today. This is Marshall Gittler, Head of Investment Research at FXPRIMUS. Get more market insights on our education pages and turn your trading ideas into action with FXPRIMUS, the safest place to trade.